Is this thing on? Is it recorded?
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me.
Hello, and welcome to Xtina podcast. Today is really exciting because I have my first guest. It is my friend, Mick Shamablam.
Hello, it's me, Mitch McShamablam. Hello, I am Steve.
Yes. And today we have a juicy episode. That's why I had to have a special guest. We are going to talk about her magnum opus so far, Stripped.
The best album Christina have released so far.
Yeah, which some of my friends, she would say Back to Basics is.
It's an attempt.
We'll get into that in a different episode, but I think Back to Basics is too long. And it could have been condensed into one, and some of it could have been left out.
The double album is a moment, especially prior to the age of streaming. So it's a marketing tool.
Yeah. And they do have different feels, because the second side had more of a retro feel.
But that's not why we're here.
No, that's not. We're talking about Stripped.
And want to answer the question, is Stripped a no-skip album?
I tend to skip Cruise and Soar. Even though I think they're fine, I don't know. Something about them, I'm just like, after Beautiful, I'm just like, okay, let's get to Get Mine, Get Yours, and Dirty.
I don't mind them. Keep Singing My Song is the one I forget about the most.
The end one?
Yes. Especially after I'm Okay, which I love. It's very dramatic.
Oh, it is. But even I'm Okay, I can't listen to that all the time just because it's so, sad.
And it's giving, very rocky indie rock type with the guitar.
Yes.
So I kind of, at the time when it was coming out, I thought it was very emotional and touching. So I enjoyed it.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. What do you think of the intro? Which is, iconic for her intros and interludes.
I like it a lot, and I want to say that all of these little interludes are really nice in this album.
But even, in the Stripped, she has, all the amalgamation, the clips of, Eminem, Britney, and who else? I think Fred Durst was in there. But definitely, MTV clips of just, everybody talking trash about her. And then it's nice because in the end, she kind of cuts through. She's like, this is me with no pretense. Just Stripped. It was, a powerful intro to the album.
It is. And it's very, it stands out. It's something I remembered, and I usually don't listen to, little interludes. I really like listening to songs.
Oh, really?
Especially, now that I'm streaming more. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be something I pass on to listen to, but it's, stuck in my mind.
The one thing I appreciate about this album is that the interludes and the intros, they're separate, whereas, in Cowboy Carter, I think there's pieces where it would have been nice to have it be a separate track. So if I wanted to just listen to the song, I could skip right to the song. And I didn't have to hear her baby talk about, let me hear this song.
Are you talking about Britney doing her voicemail in that one song?
I forgot about that. Was it Email Me Your Heart or something?
I don't remember which one, but it was at the end of one of the songs. It just goes into it, and it's not cut, and it's not put as separate, which is interesting because that was, I think, for her second album, similar to how Christina was. But comparing the interludes here and the interludes for Britney and the type of vibe they were both bringing to their second album, it says something.
Oh, that's another reason why we picked Steve to be on this podcast, is because he loves all things pop and he knows all about these
especially
divas.
Those late 90s, early 2000s. It was my coming of age moment,
right? And then let's go to Can't Hold Us Down,
one of my top 3
really
of this album. Yes,
I don't know why it sticks out, mostly just because I have the visual stuck in my head where she's wearing the little pink getup, people grabbing her butt.
That was too much.
Really?
I think it was the scene where he grabs her butt, it's too much.
Well, that's the point. It's men being chauvinist pigs and her standing her ground. And
I feel like she's, from the beginning, from when she started, this was one of her things, is always talking about giving you a little bit of feminism in all her albums.
At least she's consistent. Well, because some other pop girls, we're not going to say who, but it's performative,
But she's always, I feel like that's one of the themes she always has in every album of hers is about female empowerment.
Yes. And then it was great just because, it features Little Kim. They did that collaboration with Lady Marmalade. So
was it after Lady Marmalade?
Yes.
Is that how they connected?
Yes.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I do love her little rap.
Yes. It's so cute. I will say that she has performed it, I don't know, I think she brought it back or she made it more of an effort in, her more recent live shows. Because besides her, obviously she's been consistent with it, but also it's kind of trendy to, be feminist women's empowerment. I think I'm kind of getting tired of it. Can't hold us down.
I haven't skipped it much whenever it comes up. It's a song I enjoy singing along to.
Yes. Speaking of songs I like to sing along to, it's Walk Away. I think I have to be in the mood to hear it though. But I always thought it was so ingenious, how they, in the end, also how she segues from that song into the next, which is Fighter.
I do like it. And when I first heard it back in the day, I was not really a fan of slower music.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was not one of my faves. It would have been a skip at the time. But hearing it, it grew on me, especially as my tastes have changed through the years. And it's really good, and she sounds amazing. But my favorite part is, of course, the bridge of the song. And I feel like this is an album of bridges.
Yeah.
And it's really good because it's more intense. And that's when she's doing her screaming.
Yes.
Which became kind of associated with her as an artist. Is how she's
screaming. Yes.
Which is why I think she would do great on a rock album.
Yeah.
You know how every artist is now doing this different eras and going through the different genres, and how music genre in general is very cyclical. So we're going to go back to rock being a thing.
Yeah.
So I think she would do a great, singing something like a Heart.
Yeah. That would be cute to see. And she has the roar of it.
And she has the screams.
Yes. She does. Also, because the next song is very rock tinged, Fighter.
That is number 2 on my top 3 songs of the album. Yes.
Fighter's another one that I wish she would kind of stop singing. I think because I've heard it so many times, and now at some point she decided to make it you would always hear. Of course we accepted that we're gonna always hearing Beautiful because that's her biggest ballad.
Yeah.
But at some point she brought Fighter up, so now we always hear Fighter. We always hear Beautiful, and I would not like to do that anymore. Especially because she has 7 albums, and we always hear the same. But we'll get into that in a different episode.
But it's it's one of her most iconic songs.
It is.
Also, it's to me one of the earlier examples that I've heard of songs doing the thank you for making me better type of way.
Yes.
So that gave us Ariana and her thank you next.
Yes. So I guess you could say that Christina hollered so Ariana could mumble. Just kidding. We love Ariana. It's just good. Oh, another interlude, which is Infatuation is probably my third on the top 30 of me.
It's my number 1.
Really?
Yes.
It's so good.
You have to understand the time period. Ricky Martin was hot. Enrique still had his mole, and so at the time, Spanish music was having a heyday.
Yeah.
And I was very obsessed with wanting to learn Spanish and listen to more music of it. So, of course, Christina singing something with Spanish influence was great.
And I like to point out, this song, but also, even to, eventually we'll talk about it in another episode, but she had an album that was, demos that was later on released without her permission. And even in that one, but she also had, I think, 2 mixes where they just, translated it. So they've always been marketing her or pushing her to do both, bilingual. But then people, whenever she released Aguilera, they were saying, oh, she's jumping on a trend, whereas she's done it consistently throughout her career. She's consistently sung in English and Spanish.
Has she ever mentioned any Latin music influences?
More so in Aguilera, I think. And it was also really cool to hear her influences because a lot of them were deep cuts, or one of them, Chalbela Vargas, I think. And she is a lesbian singer. She's one of the big, I guess she'd be an equivalent to a Barbra Streisand, to an older icon.
Yeah.
But she was a lesbian, so that was great that she picked her.
I'm familiar with her references usually to someone like Aretha. And
oh, yeah. Etta James. And
that she always focuses on more soul.
Yes.
Which I think in this album, I guess we're skipping away from Infatuation, but
are we?
In this album, I feel like she tried to bring a lot of that into this album with some of the other songs. So Walking Away is one of them.
Yeah. So she was giving us depth. Yes. And that's what she wanted to do since the beginning, but they wouldn't let her.
But back to Infatuation, it's also an example of one of a pop music moment where they would use bigger words in the chorus. And as a non-English native speaker, it was very helpful in my English learning journey I would put it with Britney Spears' overprotected of having like a word with multiple syllables being the focus of the chorus.
And is that also how you learned how to spell Fergalicious?
Yes. Fergie helped.
Yes. Infatuation is like so pretty. It's like a fun song, and also it has like a Latin influence. I love it. Just like it gives something different. Well, I think in general the whole album like touches on so many different like genres, but she can play every single one of them perfectly.
Yeah. Another song that reminds me of Infatuation is "Ain't It Funny" by J-Lo.
Okay, I could see that. The original version, not the remix with Ja Rule.
The one she made a video for.
She made a video for both of them.
Oh, the one I saw growing up. It did not have anybody else, so I'm assuming it's not the remix.
I totally agree. I can see that. Love's Embrace. That one's nice. I feel like it feels intimate, and like she's reading from her diary, which I know, just because I'm a huge fan, that she loves to journal, and she's like always writing in diaries and journaling. So that was nice. But also, I feel like Loving Me for Me is probably one of my favorites. I think it's definitely outside of my 3, so it's probably 4.
Yeah, at the time it was not one of my favorites, just being because of how slow it was.
Yes.
But but it grew on me, and it's one of her common themes about like being who you are and like having that true love and someone loving again her for her.
Yes, she's given us like deep themes. I love it for a pop star. When people ask me, because they learn I'm a Christina fan, they ask what my favorite song of hers is, and I also tell them like it also depends on like what era, what mood, whatever. But I usually go to Impossible, so that would be my number 1. And then because there's like a whole backstory, because like Impossible was written by Alicia Keys. They actually worked together in the studio to record them, and Alicia like recorded her vocals and like helped her with the arrangements. And so initially she was going to give Christina Ain't With You. Fine With You. Was it? Is that the name of the song? Fine Got You. Fine Got You. Yes.
We're obviously not Alicia Keys fans.
I love that song. I just can't really think of the name. I can think of the whole chorus and everything. But yeah, If I Ain't Got You. I believe that was the song she was going to originally give to Christina, because Christina was like seeking out and she wanted to collaborate with her. But then Alicia Keys' manager, who realized like the potential in that song, and said like, absolutely not, you're not giving this to her.
I wonder how it will sound with Christina.
Yeah, right? I wanted to hear that. Like somebody needs to AI that. Because of that, she ended up keeping it, but she'd also written this other song, Impossible. And then Impossible is kind of like taking the same theme. She was inspired by Ain't No Way, which is one of my favorite Aretha Franklin songs. So it's like the same theme. So that's why I love it even more.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, it's soulful.
That, again, I did not like as the younger person. It makes me sound like a horrible fan. Yeah. It grew on me because, again, I was not...
when you're younger, it's fine.
I was rebellious.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a metalhead.
Gosh.
With pop roots.
I like Underappreciated. I also, I feel like that Love Me For Me, Impossible, Underappreciated, and then Beautiful, that those fit so well together, like even in like the story of the album. And then, well, we'll get to it in a second, but Underappreciated kind of like, because Impossible is so great to me, and then Beautiful was like, of course, her iconic song.
Yes.
Underappreciated is probably underappreciated.
I forget about underappreciated.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I do underappreciate.
Okay, we need to appreciate it more. What do you think about Beautiful?
I think if we're thinking of Christina as a song that defines who she is, or that people would associate with Christina the most, it would be Beautiful or Genie in a Bottle.
Yes.
Just because of how massive the song was. I think at the time, there was not enough music that talks about self-love. Yes. Supporting the losers in a way, and coming from her
we'll
as
call
a
them the underdogs instead.
Sure. And coming from her, saying like, I'm one of y'all.
Yeah.
Was kind of cute. I loved it. And the video itself was, at the time, compared to like, now you see like the stuff imagery everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. But at the time it was a big deal.
And it had like a huge uproar about it.
And it was a huge risk for someone like her.
Yes. So because she was just a little pop girly. But then it was nice also because it kind of saved her, or put her career back on track after Dirty, because when that released, she had so much backlash.
I feel like she always gets backlash regardless.
She does, for sure. But Beautiful, I'm going to have to do a whole episode on that one.
So as a song outside of all of that, it is a song I could skip, but it could be because of how overplayed it is.
Yeah, for sure.
And while it is a beautiful message, it's not that deep of a song, especially if we're talking about pretty songs or on this album, like Impossible to me, or even Lovin' Me for Me is
deeper. Yeah. I think what's nice, the first take that she did, like the demo, I guess, with Linda Perry, she kept those like raw vocals, and so like you hear like the rawness of it, and you can, she kept in that first recording when she said not for them to look at her like through the glass of the recording studio, and
that's where the "Don't look at me" comes from.
Yeah, because she was feeling insecure, and so I think that it was so cool that she kept that in, because now it's like, even in Mean Girls, don't look at me. And then I had so much to say about it.
It's a good song.
It's a good song. There was a long time I didn't like it just because it was overplayed so much. But I remember the first time I heard it, like, I bought the CD and I had it back at home, and I think I had headphones on, and I was just like in my room listening to this album, and Beautiful came on, and I think this is before it was released as a single. I don't remember. But under the bridge where she hits that high note where it's like basically operatic, it was just like so emotional. I think I cried that time. Like my first time hearing it was so emotional. But of course it was like overplayed on radio and everywhere. For a long time I didn't like hearing it because of course it came so synonymous with her, like her songbook. So she would play it every single time, or for every function that they asked her to sing at.
Of course.
And, but more recently I've come to like appreciate it more, especially because like more recently she's doing different arrangements.
I was obsessed with the visuals, so I've watched the video so many times. And more importantly, her look. I was obsessed with those pants.
Yes.
And the spaghetti straps. Was that what she was wearing?
Yeah. That little tank.
Her little tank top.
Yeah.
So she made it kind of like, compared to Dirty, she kind of like became modest for the video. Yes. And of course her dirty blonde hair. Yeah. It was a moment.
So good.
Now your favorite song?
My favorite?
Cruise.
No. I don't know why.
Speaking of Cruise, it has the best bridge in this album.
You think so?
I think it's awesome.
Okay.
But that's what saves the song for me.
Okay.
It's still her, one of her themes about like self-love and empowerment. And
it starts out so slow just because she starts out with the pre-chorus, I guess. And then she goes into the slowly drifting, right? That's so right.
I confused the two they combine, being especially right after each other.
Yeah.
I don't remember where one starts and one ends.
Yeah.
But the one part that sticks out to me
is the one that's more like gospel-y, and it's got the whole choir, right? Yes. I don't know why I feel like those are probably skipped, but they're still like good songs. They're not like, it's not filler at all, but I tend to skip them.
I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of empowering music.
Yeah.
I need some depression in my music.
A little bit. But I love Makeover. And I thought it's nice because it's given us kind of like a rock light.
Oh, yes.
And then this is kind of like, whenever in like interviews, Linda Perry would say that, or Christina would say that Linda Perry really brought out this like raw like vocals, and like encouraged her not to sing so like quote unquote pretty, but to really like find the emotion. I feel like that's what they were talking about. Because in this one, I feel like she's kind of, well, she was already screaming. Where this one, she's kind of like embracing like this roar and like not worrying about being too pretty.
She's given a different type of vocal.
Yeah.
And that's why I think she would do great with a rock album.
Yeah, and it's a bit angsty. That's nice.
This was one of the favorites. Yes.
For a long time, Get Mine, Get Yours was kind of just like there because like I wanted to get to the show of it all with Dirty. But then as I grew older, I actually like listened to the lyrics of Get Mine, Get Yours, and I was like, oh wow, that's great. I love that. It's actually on one of my playlists that I have. It's called my Sex Positive playlist.
I actually did not realize that it was a sexual song.
Yeah.
Again, the English second language.
Oh yeah.
Thing. Get Mine, Get Yours is not a very obvious reference, so I didn't realize it was supposed to be sexy.
Yes, and then I feel like it's sexier, or it's sexy in a different way from like Dirty. Whereas Dirty, whenever she would talk about it, she would say like, Dirty is not so much about having, it's not sexual. It's more about going to the club and just like really like feeling grimy and,
Yes.
going out and having fun and being less so like...
It's more about the show.
Yes. Whereas Get Mine, Get Yours is like sexual. It's just like... And then especially because like, in this bridge, she's like, I want your body, not your heart. Like, you get yours and I get mine. No strings attached. How did you not know it was sexual?
Again, English is a second language.
Okay. I want your body, not your heart. I would say I'm unabashed about picking Dirty as my favorite song from this album because I feel like she had to go through so much to make it Dirty and then just to make the song. But then afterwards, she had to deal with so much backlash. And it was huge everywhere except for like America.
I was obsessed.
Really?
Yes.
Was it huge back where you're from? I guess
it
not.
wasn't. But it was, the video was very memorable.
Yes. Yeah.
Did she have eyebrows in it? For some reason, I remember her without eyebrows.
No, she did. I feel like that was her era where she had the pencil thin, like, eyebrows.
That would make sense.
Yes.
But also the dancing. Like, she gave us dancing when she'd never been really a dancey girl. I know she dances in other videos, but it's not like her thing is not dancing.
Yeah.
The same way like you would have with other pop stars.
But she
She's
did
always
dance.
the vocals girl.
She did dance and came on over. She did the whole, like, roly-poly thing.
But it wasn't, the dancing here was more iconic.
Yeah, it was, for sure.
And the outfits.
And then there was, like, the visuals are great for the song.
It's a strong intro, like, as a leading single. Yes.
Yes. I think it was probably, like, her best or most powerful single for an album. Because I feel like there were other songs for me, like...
I can see that.
Other ones. I guess that's a whole other episode, but I feel like that one is, like, the strongest. Also, a lot of people said that it's misleading because it kind of is for the whole album as a statement.
I can see that.
Also, the song is based off of a Redman song, Let's Get Dirty. And
I did not know that.
Really? Okay, and so that's why she worked with Redman as the feature. And she worked with Walk Wilder, who she worked with on Lady Marmalade. So they produced it, and she, like, loved the Redman version. She's like, I want that flavor, but in my own perspective. And so that's how they came up with Dirty.
It's a song I definitely do not skip.
Yeah, for sure. But it's great, because then... she stops and towards the end it kind of like fades out. And then we get to Stripped Part 2. And that's great. It's just like, whereas in the beginning she's like introducing herself, that this is her without any pretense. We've gotten to know her through all these songs. And then she's like, well, I'm not sorry for being me. And this is who I am. And then we go into like the more ballads and towards the end of the album.
I like The Voice Within.
Yes.
But I always forget that it's on this album.
Really?
And I really think it's on Back to Basics. I think it's
I
part
see
of
what you
the
mean.
video.
Yeah, because that like vintage vibe. So she's running around barefoot in black and white.
Wasn't she in a circus?
No. Was she?
Am I confusing it with another video? Am I confusing it with her?
Probably. Oh, yes. Yeah, that one's in the circus. That one's so good. Different episode. But the voice is in, it's like she's, I think in the beginning she's in a bed, and then she gets up, she's like, from her little nap. And then she runs around, and I think it's like a studio lot, and we're just following, the camera's just panning around.
But she's supposed to be a ballerina or something. There are like these extra straps. No,
that's her. Where she's wearing the shoes that she can't walk in.
They were not ballerina shoes?
No, I think she's shoeless and with Voice Within.
I remember it was black and white.
Oh, well, his spider card is declined now.
Oh, no.
No, but anyway, the Voice Within is great. I think more recently I've come to appreciate it more. Whereas before I would just listen to it to like her vocals. And now I, especially like being an adult, when you have something like decisions and it's like, and trusting your intuition and just like, and all the knowledge you have, just like making decisions for yourself. I think that's why I appreciate The Voice Within more as an adult.
I appreciate a Christina ballad, regardless, whenever she gets the chance to belt.
Yeah.
Because that's just fun, especially to sing along to.
Yes.
And it's still on theme.
Yeah. And we already talked about I'm Okay, but I don't know if we talk about me. Before Demi gave us It's Okay to Be Okay, Christina said it was just, I'm okay.
I feel like she always has a song about her mom and her father's abuse. And, considering like she grew up with an abusive father, she turned out just fine.
Yeah, I'm sure she's got her own, she's working through those.
But she's okay.
Yeah, I'd say for like a pop star, especially because she was like a main pop star, that she's like well adjusted.
Very well adjusted.
Yeah.
And I like this, how she approaches her vocals here.
Yeah.
And how toned down it is.
Yes. I think this was the one where she was on the ground at peak MTV, where they're following you around as you're recording your album, whatever. And so behind the scenes, they're recording her, and she was like on the ground recording it because she didn't want to be like at level where people could see her singing the song. Because like even the song, you can hear her like holding back tears because it was so like intimate.
It is very emotional.
Yeah. And I think the only time I've seen her, I think she actually performed it on one of the tours. Maybe it was Liberation. Maybe not. I don't know. But she performed it on the Storytellers. Before the Storytellers, she had never performed it. And that was Storytellers. That was to promote Bionic. So that was 2009. So it had been 7 years, and she'd never performed that song live.
I'm always curious about whenever artists have a song that is supposed to be very emotional or talk about a painful memory, and how this song is directly about her father's abuse.
Yeah.
How do you sing that in concerts, especially in big arenas, multiple times?
Mood lighting. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is. I'm sure that's a harder one. And I think that's why she chose to do it on Storytellers, because it was more intimate. And everybody who went, because I remember I was living in LA at the time, and I saw the open call to if you're a Christina fan, she's doing a Storytellers, tell us why. And of course, I'm dumb and super young. I think I was 20 at the time. And I chose, because they ask you questions, what questions would you ask Christina? She asked somebody in the audience. I asked the stupidest...
What was it?
Because this is also peak Gaga Christina time. My questions were serious. They weren't just how do you I don't know. They weren't sugar-coated. They were how do you feel about the comparison between you and Lady Gaga? And of course, nobody wants to... She didn't want to deal with that. But also, this is about her and promoting, at that time, Bionic. So, I don't know why I put that. And the other ones were just probably about the rollout of the album. Which we already knew was crazy. And it also had to do with, I'm sure the last one was something between her and Perez Hilton, who at the time was insidious. And
You're asking about all the drama.
Yes. And of course, all they wanted to know was they wanted the fans who were just doting and just wanted to tell her all the good things. I was no, Christina, let's hold hands and you tell me all your deepest secrets. We're besties.
So did you get to see her doing her Storytellers?
No, they did not invite me to be at the audience. I did get to see her a couple of times because, you can go to tapings. And because that was the time she was on The Voice, I got to go to The Voice. And so I saw her. Also,
the original seasons.
Yes. And I was still in LA whenever she got her star. So I skipped class to go watch her get her star. So... You're welcome.
You're a true fan.
I am. Congratulations, Christina.
I can't wait for your episode about the drama with Bionic.
Oh my god, that's going to be so good. It's going to have to be multi-part. I'm going to have to attack it from different angles. And we already kind of mentioned Keep On Singing My Song. I think it's okay.
I forget about it.
It's a nice closing, but yeah, I forgot about that one.
Especially after The Voice Within and I'm Okay.
Yes.
I see why it's put last, not because it's not good, it's just the message of it.
Yes. And this is what we've been through, and she's, gonna keep singing, because that's what's gotten her through all of her trauma in the past.
But to me, it's more aligned to Soar. Right. So I need it with Cruise and Soar.
Yeah. I think also I forget about those just because they are kind of disjointed from the more soulful, underappreciated Impossible. And then Makeover is kind of maybe if they moved Makeover towards Fighter.
Yeah.
Because Fighter's still angsty, rocky. And then moved, because then I forget about Soar and Cruise. And then I just get to the dirty, sexy part. Yeah, I would say in general, there is no filler. But there are some skips.
I think she really chose all of these to like showcase her talents at the time, because right now like people love pop stars and everybody talks about them positively, not all the time, but at the time really nobody thought much of value or artist of them. Like never, they didn't see them as artists. They just saw them as puppets made by recording studios, and nobody believed that they can actually sing. So this was really her way of showing how talented she is.
Yeah.
And us real fans recognize that talent.
Yes.
I do feel like she always feels like she has to prove herself, which to me she shouldn't.
No, at this point she does not.
During that time, it felt like this album was really her trying.
Yeah, she was coming out like guns a-blazing. She definitely wanted to prove herself. I think she did.
Even in the name.
Yeah.
And I like how it's such a departure from her first album.
And then also on this album, she wrote, or at least co-wrote, most of all of it, except for like Beautiful, which was just Linda Perry. This one was like, it like meant something to her. Yeah. Whereas in the debut, she didn't really get anything, especially like initially. We'll talk about it in another podcast. Damn, there's so many things I want to talk about. But I think I mentioned it in the first actual episode. Jenny, they delivered the song, but she did some like a rearranging of like instrumentation or whatever, and she added some things, but they didn't give her credit for it. So allegedly, she's due credit.
I think this album is what made her really a star. Yeah. So in a way, she went from like Tiffany to Madonna.
Mm-hmm. Tiffany. I would say Cyndi Lauper to Madonna.
No, Cindy's great. I was thinking of someone like forgettable.
Yeah, I think somebody else mentioned the exact same thing, but one of my friends, she said that she thinks Back to Basics was the thing that solidified her as a like music legend. So interesting. We'll have to get her perspective on another episode.
She should be the guest for Back to Basics.
She's going to be. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yes.
I would say my final thought about the whole Stripped era is I wish she didn't collaborate with Justin Timberlake.
Oh, on the tour?
Yes.
Yes. I remember because I went to that Stripped Justified tour, which is funny because I was like maybe 12 or 14, somewhere around there. Like nobody went with me. I just, like my parents bought a ticket for me. And they just dropped me off and picked me up afterwards. And this is before, like, cell phones. So I didn't have a cell phone. Anybody could have abducted me. And I could have been sold into the sex trade.
You're a true fighter.
I know. No. But it's also weird because I went to a concert alone. And I think I liked Justin at the time. But...
I mean, it's his best album.
Yeah. But also, Black Eyed Peas opened up for them on that tour. And so it was like Black Eyed Peas, who were still kind of like, they weren't pop yet. They were still like, before that, they were like more funk and like hip hop before they had Fergie.
That's
and so like this is right before I think they were about to release the album where they finally had Fergie on it. But anyway, yeah, so that's why I went to that concert. And it was so good.
That explains Justin's vocals on Where Is the Love?
Yes. I guess that concludes this episode. There's going to be other episodes where I'm going to deep dive and give intimate stories about each one of the songs. But for now, this is like an overview with my dear friend Steve. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Stay beautiful.